What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Slushy vlog. That's right. Went to 7-Eleven, got me a pomegranate cherry slushy. And for old time's sakes, let's do another Slushy vlog. And today I want to pay some respects to Billy Chaser from the Game Chasers. I found out yesterday from Art Bell that Billy didn't make it. I did know about his videos in the hospital, looking in rough shape and claiming that he had a brain tumor. Like, holy shit, like, this isn't just... So this was serious. And he had an update 3 weeks ago with nothing since. And it was maybe a few days ago I did take a look to see if he had an update, and yeah, it was 3 weeks since there was an update. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's just recovering. But unfortunately, I got the message from Art Bell that he had passed away. And yeah, I got a little bit choked up last night. I was celebrating the victory from the Indiana Fever over the Atlanta Dream. I was in good mood, ready to watch some videos celebrating, and then I get this notification. So it totally bummed me out afterwards. Yeah, it just sucks. I'm thinking, what is there anyone making videos on this? Is there any more clarification? And there was a few. I'm thinking, okay, Art Bell's like, you should make a video on it. And I thought, well, I don't want to just make a video just to try and get attention off of his death or anything like that. I don't really want to do that. I don't know. I haven't been a Game Chasers fan in quite a few years. Just whatever. I thought, what the hell? This is a good excuse to come out on a nice day and do a little slushy vlog and just share some memories about Billy that I can remember from years past. So I haven't been a Game Chasers fan in quite a few years. I haven't watched any other episodes in quite a few years, but I used to be a huge fan. I first discovered the Game Chasers at a convention in Burlington, Ontario. It was called Con Bravo, and it was Angry Video Game Nerd's first Canadian appearance at a convention. It was a huge deal. It was packed. It was and right outside of the games room there was a booth set up, and it had Cheetah Men all over. Like, they had displays of Cheetah Men and Cheetah Men 2, and I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. As soon as I saw it, I laughed. What is this? You know, with Cheetah Men being popularized by the Angry Video Game Nerd. So I meet this man named Greg Pabich. You might know who Greg Pabich is. He is he claims to be I don't know if I want to get into this whole story or not, but this Greg Pabich guy claims he's the new owner of Active Enterprises or something, and he's found some old Cheetah Men games in his warehouse, and he wants to publish them and sell them to the fans out there, to the collectors out there. So I was kind of interested by this. I'm like, so what are you selling? Or what are you So he was trying to sell, well, he did sell, a fixed version of Cheetah Men 2. There it is right there. A fixed version of Cheetah Men 2. So I'm like, what do you mean, like a whole new game? And he said, no, this is the entire game on one cartridge. It's going to have the special levels included with the rest of them, so you don't have to hit the reset button a bunch of times or get the game to glitch and pop up and whatever the extra levels were. I'm like, okay, I know the lore behind Cheetah Men. I know what you mean. So you're going to have the full game onto the cartridge. It's not necessarily fixed. So, okay, that's a cool idea. I always wanted a copy of Cheetah Men 2. So he had this panel and he showed the video of the viral advertisement for the Kickstarter. Sorry about these sirens. So I went to his panel. Oh, sorry, before I went to the panel, so I'm like, there was a kid that was next to me, a younger guy. And he's like, wait a minute, you look familiar. You're from the Game Chasers, aren't you? And he said, yes, I am. I am from that episode. The kid was like, oh my God, it's him. And I asked, oh, who's the Game Chasers? Who are they? Like, oh, they do a show on YouTube. They do like a reality show type of deal, like a American Pickers, but it's video games. I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. Right on. So I learned about the Cheetah Men thing. And then I went to the panel where they showed the infamous viral video. It was premiered at that convention. We were the first to see it. With Angry Video Game Nerd, Pat the NES Punk, and the Game Chasers. Who I didn't know much about at the time, but... So eventually I got around to looking them up and watching their videos, and I instantly became a fan of their content just due to their love of retro gaming. You know, back in those days, we were all collecting. You know, NES, Genesis, Super Nintendo, we were all about that. And, you know, just watching videos non-stop on retro games, retro reviews, learning about NES games, learning about hidden gems, you know. So I definitely appreciated the content, and I thought it was a cool idea. So I became a fan. Also, what I think what made the Game Chasers stand out in the retro gaming community is that they were average Joes, you know, like with a lot of these YouTubers, a lot of these YouTuber channels, you know, these are like from nerdy perspective. It's a nerdy habit. It's a nerdy hobby. It's a nerdy, you know, video games have always had a nerd culture surrounding it. Like, I get it, but you didn't see like many average Joes, like regular guys that you would, you know, go to the bar with, you know, have a beer with. You know, these are a lot of the people that I watch on YouTube I can't really relate to a lot. You know, I was never a nerd growing up. You know, I partied non-stop. I had lots of friends, lots of acquaintances growing up. I never lived that nerd lifestyle sort of until I got older. But I couldn't relate to people at conventions. I eventually stopped going to conventions. I can't really socialize with the people there, and it's just, you know, most of the time I'm hanging out at the bar when I do go to these conventions, you know. So like, what was good about the Game Chasers is that they were sort of like average guys, you know, that average people grew up with. So that's what made them very relatable. They weren't nerdy like a lot of the other ones, like a lot of the other YouTubers out there. So to me, that's what gravitated me towards them. And Dodongo and all the sub-characters were hilarious. Like, they were different, you know. So, you know, I bought merchandise. These I think the Game Chasers shirts, I think I bought off them at conventions. And of course the Cheetah Men, I ordered the shirts and I got the Cheetah Men prototype as well. You know, that's a whole other video, sort of. That's a whole other discussion. I can continue on a little bit about it. A lot of people think that this was a scam. The only thing that was a scam about the project is that I don't think Craig Pabich actually owned the full rights to Action 52, Cheetah Men and all that. I think that was a whole bullshit made up story, but and maybe even this Cheetah Men prototype isn't actually a prototype. It could have just been some trash somebody made up. I really don't know. But a lot of people thought it was a scam because it was sold as a fixed Cheetah Men game, when it wasn't. It was, I knew right away from the start what this was, and all it was a version of Cheetah Men 2 that had all the levels included. Because if you know Cheetah Men 2, once you beat that monkey, the game doesn't continue on, you're just stuck there. Well, now it's fixed. Now it goes to the next level. So that's all it was. But people thought this was going to be a fixed, improved version of Cheetah Men 2. And they're saying, oh, all he did was just slap the ROM onto a cart and sold it. I'm like, well, yeah, but the game plays start to finish, and it comes with a comic book and a nice looking cart and case. Like, people sell repros all the time. It's not a scam. He's telling you what it is. So again, in my opinion, and from my own experience from buying it, it was never a scam. So anyways, so yes, I've met the Game Chasers, Billy, at Con Bravo in Hamilton here. So the following year, after the AVGN appearance and everything, it moved to Hamilton. And that's when Pat the NES Punk started coming out, the Game Chasers, the Gaming Historian, yes, even Jew Wario, Nostalgia Critic, even JonTron came out here. That's probably one of the biggest names they got. Angry Joe came out here. So yeah, they were getting some big names out here, so it was big at one point. And then, yeah, the Game Chasers came up here. Drove all the way up here. That was when they got their cars broken into in Memphis. That was on their way up here. They drove all the way up here. But yeah, they went to 2 conventions total. And yeah, it was cool meeting them. You know, their panels were a lot of fun. You know, they were just Q&As or whatever. But like, it was cool. They had some games for sale for cheap. They were cool to talk to. Again, it was a long time ago, so I don't even remember. I remember talking about Jaws for the NES with Billy. How, you know, it's a better game than people say it is, and it's like a sort of like a fun Atari game almost. But I don't know, just talking about NES games and shit. I remember when I first saw Billy, I think it was at the first panel or first appearance there, and I was wearing this shirt. I was wearing the Blame Me. Yeah, I was wearing the Blame Me shirt, and Billy came right up to me like when we were standing in line for the panel. Yeah, he came up. He liked the shirt. He shook my hand. You know, that's big time fan support right there. When, you know, they were accused of promoting the scam when it really wasn't. But yeah, I'm wearing these Blame Me shirts. It was good times. What else? I talked about the panels, the appearances. One time I was outside smoking. Outside the convention. It was near the end of the show. Billy was outside getting, I don't know, ready to go, and he came over and talked. Yeah, he's a cool guy. I think Billy was the more sociable one, I would say. He was cool. Jay was all right as well. Got some pictures taken and whatever. I'm trying to think what else covered the Cheetah Men thing. Yeah, the conventions were cool. And then eventually, you know, let me get my Slurpees melting. And then, of course, there was the fallout. And I don't want to delve into this too much, but I'm not the only one that ran into this with the Game Chasers. You know, eventually a lot of people just weren't really into the content anymore. It was convention based in a lot of episodes, and there was a lot more sponsorships and all this stuff after they're telling us to watch the ads or if they can watch the ads, and then there was sponsorships and all that. And eventually it just became, the episodes seemed a little more forced, and game chasing was getting dried up. Flea markets weren't the same anymore. Smartphones pretty much killed game chasing. And yeah, eventually we felt we just didn't really care much for the show anymore, a lot of people. And you know, Billy unfortunately got into a lot of heated arguments with people online, including myself, over stupid things. And Billy would oftentimes, you know, take a little too far. He would insult people with arguments and debates, and you know, that left a bad taste in people's mouths. And it's not just me that went through this. You can look at another video. The guy Dongled, that's his YouTube channel. He's been around for a long time. He was talking about how he got into a heated argument with them online, and insults were thrown, and then he was pretty much done with them. And you know, but that's Billy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and you know, I can get like that too sometimes. So whatever. Not everyone's perfect, and yeah, sometimes we get a little into it with people over stupid things. Yeah, aside from that though, like, Billy seemed like a good guy. Obviously I didn't know him very well, only talked to him briefly a few times, but yeah, he definitely seemed like a good guy, you know. You know, there was some money-making things that were questionable throughout the movie thing. Of course, I didn't agree with either. A lot of people didn't like this movie idea. You know, how much of this money actually goes to it. There was somewhat promises being made and that weren't kept for the movie. And I don't know, the whole thing was just, it was kind of a disaster. No one really made a big deal out of it, but you know, good for him for accomplishing that goal. He at least got it done. He got it done, he got it out. The hardcore fans seemed to enjoyed it, so big ups to him there. It was probably a dream that he got to live. I don't know much about his personal life, so I can't really comment there, but yeah, just trying to remember the good things about him. And oh yeah, and the last thing, I thought the DVDs were good. I do have a couple DVDs. I can show them off first. I got Volume 1 and Volume 2, and special, I think that was a bonus disc that came with the first one. This one got autographed. I can't remember how I bought them. I think I got them off Kickstarter. But he put a lot of effort into these DVDs. They're actually good. There was like Easter eggs and stuff, hidden menus if you look around that you can find. He wanted it to be a watching experience. He wanted to put some additives in there. And yeah, Billy was of course the backbone of the Game Chasers. I always said he was my favorite member, and he was the whole show. I mean, everyone else were just basically just in the video. Billy did all the uploading, the editing. I'm pretty sure he did most of the work there, if not all of it. And so he was the backbone of the show. And yeah, I just thought he was the coolest dude out of the bunch by far. So yeah, even when I sort of disliked the Game Chasers, I always said Billy would seem like the most He was the best one out of the bunch. And of course, if you can see the tape mildew on the Emmy, I put a piece of tape over that and I wrote the letter Y. Yeah, there was a time where I wasn't too happy with them, but all those days are in the past. I don't even care anymore. You know, I'm sort of glad that I hung on to these. I thought maybe one day sort of my petty hatred will dissolve and I'll actually watch these episodes again because they're very well done. Very well done show. Looks like it should have been a reality show on television. It was great work, and I can conclude with this. I think The Game Chasers, it's a worthy enough show. It's a good enough show to live on and be remembered. I think it will be. I think Jay will keep the name, keep the brand going. Yeah, I hope people that haven't seen it or maybe just heard of this passing and they don't know about the show actually check it out, because there's a lot of episodes and it's pretty funny stuff. It's good for, you know, watching crap on YouTube. I don't know what else to say, but Billy did amazing work. Incredible, the stuff that he did, especially for its time too. I mean, I'm sure this stuff's a lot easier to put together now with the stuff that we have, but man, this show goes back. The show goes back when we didn't see production like this on just an ordinary YouTube channel. So the show was ahead of its time. I thought it should have been on television, maybe if they want to cut down on the crude humor, and maybe a little bit, who knows, but it was a good enough show that it could have been on television. I think a lot of people would have liked it. Well, that's all I got to say. Rest in peace, Billy Chaser. It was, for the times that I was a fan, it was a pleasure viewing the content. It was a pleasure meeting you at the conventions. It was a good time on those weekends. And yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends. And that's all I got to say. I guess I'll be putting this stuff back. Get it home. And I'll be back live on my channel very soon. Alright? You guys have a good day. And of course, have an amico day.